For decades, the sound of deep space exploration has been an echo. Crisp, modern mission control countdown sequence audio fades in. But soon, that echo will be replaced by the roar of something real. Since 1972, human beings have kept close to home. We have built massive orbital stations and launched countless satellites, but no one has ventured beyond low Earth orbit in over half a century. Back then, millions gathered around analog television sets to watch grainy black and white broadcasts. Today, the world is preparing to watch the return to the moon in 4K resolution, live-streamed to billions of screens across the globe. This upcoming flight carries a much heavier burden than nostalgia. It is a grueling 10-day physical stress test of brand new hardware. We have to prove we can survive the punishing environment of deep space before we can permanently stay there. 4 people are stepping into that environment. Commander Reed Wiseman, along with Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, are the first humans who will actually fly this machinery. There is a severe urgency pushing them forward. China is aggressively targeting the exact same heavily shadowed craters at the lunar South Pole, an area believed to hold vast amounts of water ice. The race to secure those resources is happening right now. To get there, the crew will ride the Space Launch System, or SLS, with 4 main engines and 2 massive solid rocket boosters. This vehicle generates 8.8 million pounds of thrust. That is significantly more liftoff power than the Saturn V rockets that carried the Apollo crews. Accelerating pace at T0, those engines ignite in a violent, ground-shaking explosion of fire and smoke. The rocket clears the launch tower in seconds, subjecting the crew to intense G-forces as they tear through the atmosphere. Getting off the launch pad requires sheer brute force, but once the sky turns black and the atmosphere fades away, raw power isn't enough. The true test is keeping 4 humans alive in a vacuum. Once they reach a high Earth orbit, things quiet down. The crew will spend roughly 24 hours inside the Orion capsule, running through an exhaustive checklist, verifying that the life support systems are actively scrubbing carbon dioxide and generating breathable air. This map traces the Artemis II flight path, as you can see by the green orbital lines near Earth. Before they head to the moon, the crew will perform a proximity operations demonstration. They will take physical control of Orion and fly it manually around the spent upper stage of their rocket. This chart on the right side of the map details the step-by-step docking rehearsal. They have to prove they can manually maneuver and orient the spacecraft precisely. During the next mission, Artemis III, astronauts will need to perform these exact maneuvers to dock with a lunar lander waiting in orbit. There is zero margin for error. 250,000 miles away, they must demonstrate absolute control over the spacecraft's handling right here, close to home, before anyone attempts to step foot on the lunar surface. Once the capsule clears its checkouts, Orion fires its main engine one last time. This is the translunar injection burn. It provides the final massive push needed to break Earth's gravitational grip, committing the crew to a 4-day outbound transit to the moon. They are traveling on what is known as a free return trajectory. Rather than relying on their engines to turn around and come home, the spacecraft will harness the moon's gravitational pull, whipping around its far side and slingshotting directly back toward Earth without needing to burn any main engine fuel. The apex of this trajectory brings them around the far side of the moon. When Orion slips behind the lunar horizon, the massive body of rock completely blocks all radio signals for up to 50 minutes. The crew will be in a total communications blackout. Mission control will hear nothing but static. In that deep silence, they will make history. The crew will fly roughly 4,600 miles past the far side of the moon, pushing further into the void than the distance record set by the Apollo 13 astronauts over 50 years ago. By using the gravity of the planets themselves as a survival tool, this single maneuver pushes human presence deeper into the solar system than we have ever gone. 10 days after leaving the launch pad, the journey home culminates in a final, brutal physical test. The Orion crew module separates from its service module, discarding its propulsion and power systems. Now, the only thing standing between the 4 astronauts and incineration is the capsule's heat shield. They hit the Earth's atmosphere at roughly 25,000 miles per hour. The immense friction of re-entry creates a wall of superheated plasma around the spacecraft, pushing temperatures to nearly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit and triggering one last terrifying communications blackout. Once the capsule punches through the worst of the heat, a complex sequence of parachutes deploys. 2 drogue chutes, followed by 3 massive main canopies, aggressively brake the spacecraft, dropping its speed from terminal velocity down to a gentle 17-mile-per-hour splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. The success of the entire lunar program relies on this exact sequence. We can build the rockets and plot the trajectories, but without a proven heat shield, deep space exploration is a one-way trip. When the dust settles and the data is analyzed, the most enduring takeaway from Artemis II might simply be a change in perspective. From 250,000 miles away, the astronauts will look out their window and see Earth, about the size of a basketball held at arm's length. That view comes with a purpose. By proving that the hardware can sustain human life and endure the brutal realities of deep space, this test flight directly enables Artemis III to actually land astronauts back on the lunar surface. Those surface missions will lay the groundwork for a permanent orbital outpost called the Lunar Gateway. Learning to live and work around the moon is the mandatory stepping stone we need before we attempt to send humans to Mars. We are no longer retracing our steps. This mission is the ignition sequence for a permanent, sustained human presence across the solar system, and we're watching it happen right now.